Okay, I'm going to help you with understanding. First, let's work on Bitcoin, okay? Because that's sort of the simple one. Bitcoin, okay, first, think about our deep ancestors who kind of went around. First, they didn't know. They said, here, I'll give you donkey if I can stay in your village or whatever, or hey, you got fire, I got, something. So they started trading. So then it was like they needed something. So they came up with like shells or pretty rocks or something. So they're sitting there with shells and they go, okay, I got 38 shells and I need meat. So here are your shells for the meat. And then the shells became this thing that we were all trading. But virtually the shells are kind of worthless, right? And then we kind of went, well, we're going to get more sophisticated. We're going to go for precious metals, and let's make gold and silver really, really valuable, really kind of the thing. You don't have to carry as much around of it. A small bag of gold can get you, a palace. So let's work it that way. And then in gold, it was just like rocks, right? And then people sort of said, God, we're kind of a little low on gold, but we still need to make all these deals. We don't have enough liquidity in this market. I don't think they had the word liquidity, but let's go for the promise of gold. Okay, I'll promise you gold, or I'll promise you silver. And then it was like, here, you get a silver certificate and it'll be printed up really nicely. And here it's a silver certificate. And then it was like, God, we were sort of running out of gold and silver, and we don't have as much silver to back up all those papers that we're sending out to people. Okay, let's just promise that we can deliver the silver or deliver something of value. And so let's do something called the Federal Reserve Note, which is like backed by the full faith and confidence of the federal government. We'll just print these things, and then we'll have more liquidity. And things kind of worked pretty well that way for a while. And then people kind of went, wow, you can go even farther. You can create credit. Here's an IOU. Here, I owe you this money. Just give it to me now, because now it really means something to me, and tomorrow it won't matter. And then people started to electronically move money around. And each time that one of these things happened, the world got wealthier. Everybody wins. If you and I make a deal, we're both better off because we made this deal. Because at least in both of our minds, that's a good deal, because we wouldn't have done it otherwise. So we're both better off. You want more deals. Okay, so suddenly there's this new technology that allows you, it's not this little piece of paper, it's not a shell, it's a bunch of electrons running around up there in the sky, but it creates a ton more liquidity. And let me give you a reason. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I actually invested in a bunch of Bitcoin at $6 a Bitcoin, and I had it, and then I did it through another guy who stored it at Mt. Gox. And I was thinking, hey, this Bitcoin's really exciting. People are going to be able to trade this, and it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be a new form of currency. It's going to be interesting. And maybe it'll just be for games for a while, but who knows? Maybe people will be able to buy houses with it someday or something. Well, so then Mt. Gox, that guy from Mt. Gox, just goes and steals all the Bitcoin, or it disappears. And I thought, oh, well, that's the end of that. Not just my money, but I just thought Bitcoin is gone. But the next day, Bitcoin traded down about 10%. I thought, 10%? I thought this would be zero. Why is it still at 10%? And then I realized somebody out there really needs this. And then I thought about who might really need it. Yeah, sure, there were the drug dealers and the gun runners and all that, right? But there were also the unbanked. Okay, now I'm going to go through the unbanked with you right now. Let's say you have $7.82 and you want to set up a bank account with something. They look at you and they say, well, there's no way I'm going to set up a bank account for $7.82. And you say, why? Because It cost me $200 just to regulate, just to deal with all the regulations for your account. Why would I ever do that? So then the unbanked and the regulations keep piling on. The government always has new ideas for what the banks have to do, right? And they keep piling on. So that $200 becomes $300, $400. And at some point, there's this group of people who are going, well, I can't be in that economy at all. So all of a sudden there's Bitcoin and they're going, hey, we've got an economy. We've got a way to trade. We've got our shells. We've got the thing that we can do. And here, I'll give you some Bitcoin for this. And actually, there is a way to trade the Bitcoin for these other fiat currencies. And suddenly you've got real economy that now, what are there? 3 billion unbanked in the world, something like that. You got like almost half the world can now participate in a new global economy. And it's global. Oh my God, it's fantastic. Let's just for sake of argument that one country that you live in suddenly becomes taken over by a dictator, and that dictator, you're thinking, I've got to get out of here. And I've got 30 million, whatever monopoly money that country uses. Like in Hong Kong, a lot of people did this. It was like, I have to leave all my money behind and I've got to move somewhere else. And so they all move somewhere else. Well, now you can do that and you can just go, I'll just pull down my Bitcoin and you still have your money. You might have lost your monopoly money from that, the dictatorship, but you still have money that is now globally recognized. And that is so powerful, unbelievably powerful. Think of that. It's just like freeing. Kazakh, I'm free.
So that sounds
okay. So blockchain,
amazing, yeah.
So blockchain.
Just if I can ask the question.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We manage an angel investment network out of Dubai, and we get loads of blockchain startups who may or may not need blockchain to run the business. So how can we first, as the people managing the network, understand that, and how can we explain it to people?
I'm glad you asked that. I should have said this earlier. There are these ICOs. Oh, by the way, we talk about governments being in competition with each other for us. You see weird things happening with these governments because they're nervous. They're going, I think I get it. My power is now going to fall because these people are global. And so all of a sudden you see China going, no ICOs. And then weirdly, the free part of Korea, South Korea, said, no ICOs. But then you see Japan going, Bitcoin is now a recognized currency of the Japan country. And then you think, okay, fast forward 10 years, which of those countries is going to be the winner? It's definitely Japan. And it's all the other countries. It's Estonia and Singapore. It's all the countries that are going, yeah, I'm taking that. Because what China and Korea have just done is said, let's say it was 1985, they've just said, we're not allowing the internet. They've just said, we're going to stay in the dark ages. And this new thing is happening. Anyway, how do you invest in these ICOs, blockchain, whatever, right? Okay, ICOs are something new. They are not a for-profit enterprise. They are not a non-profit enterprise. They're not an NGO. They're something new. That's the way I would look at it. Token of excitement. And the ICOs I have backed are when I sense a movement. I sense a societal transformation, something that is changing some part of society. And they're coins. You're not investing. You're buying coins. With those coins, it very rarely are those coins somehow connected to the profits of the business. Usually they're not. So you're not betting on the profits of the business if you're buying the coin. You're buying a coin, and if that coin spreads the way Bitcoin did, it will get more and more valuable. Now I'll give you a tip on valuing Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I thought, this is what I thought about when I thought about what's the upside on Bitcoin. What's all fiat currency worth? And it's like $100 trillion. Right now, all the virtual currencies are worth about $100 billion. So there's 1,000 times in there somehow. Okay, another way to look at those is if it's a new coin and I create it and it's Draper coin and then it's only me, then the coin's worth 0. But if you're willing to do something, buy it or trade in it, then at least we've got some value. And then if he joins us, then the 3 of us now are kind of trading in it. And then as each node is added, it grows with Metcalfe's law. So the value of a coin grows with the square of the nodes in the network. So you can, extrapolating from there, we got a long way to go. And we also have big opportunity in these coins. Now, if somebody's coming to you and they couldn't raise money from venture capitalists, and so they're saying, hey, I'm doing an ICO, this is the new thing, and no way. But if somebody comes to you and says, society needs this, we need a coin that does this. It's got to be faster, like Tezos. It's got to be more integrated, like Bancor. It's got to do smart contracts, like Ethereum. If you see a new way that people are using these tokens, then spend some time and think about it. And those are the places to go. So those are ICOs. Blockchain is just this awesome technology that's this perfect ledger and a perfect store of data that is, it's amazing. And so you can apply that to a whole bunch of different uses. And there are many, many industries that need a blockchain for their data. And so I would, if it's like we're using blockchain to change blank, listen very hard. Any from the back, you guys have been very patient back there. 6 minutes and 43 seconds. Yes, stand up so I can hear you.
Please be able to, just inflate away their debt, because the US has now what? $1 trillion of debt, and suddenly you have this Bitcoin. Now, you could just inflate it away. So what's your opinion about that?
So it's great. I think what happens there is the markets decide, and maybe the debt starts to lower in value. But here's what I'm thinking. Crypto world is much more efficient, much more effective, quicker, cheaper, faster to move money. It's going to slowly but surely eliminate, not totally eliminate, but take over where fiat currency exists today. So I believe that 5 years from now, you're going to go in and try to buy a cup of coffee with fiat currency, and they're going to laugh at you. What? You don't own any Tezos? Don't own any Bitcoin? Why are you using that weird paper stuff? Why? And so I actually think that these, and that's 5 years, because things move so fast now in technology. It's not like 20 years. I think it's like 5 years where we're embarrassed to be using fiat currency because we're like, it's not cool anymore. But in that case, it'll just be a market thing. And all these things sort of happen and evolve, and they take different forms. Anytime there's a new technology of any kind, it transforms an industry, and the industry adapts. And eventually, maybe it does go out of business. We don't make buggy whips anymore because we have these horseless carriages that move us around. Cars. And so the buggy whip manufacturers were kind of slowly went out of business, except for maybe the specialty items or whatever. So my guess is fiat becomes that buggy whip that kind of doesn't quite disappear, but it becomes more of like a specialty item. Yeah, I keep